How's it going, Cypher Gang? I hope everyone's had an amazing week. As promised, I'm going to start creating these production overviews so you guys have a good idea of what we're up to. There is a lot to cover, so strap in, boys and girls. We are going to have a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff to look at. Some of it you've already seen, some of it hopefully will be new stuff, and the idea is to create a cadence of every 2 weeks. So we actually have new stuff to show you, and that way you guys can make sure we're working hard and putting your time and your money to good use. Here we go. Let's jump in. We're going to start with the airdrops. We covered this extensively, but for those who weren't on the live stream, as you guys know, the next airdrop are going to be beautiful, amazing blades. This is kind of the original direction. We kind of start going in. First, we get reference before we make our own designs. We kind of look at reference. What do we want to do? We don't want to make like medieval looking blades. We want to find something that feels realistic, but at the same time, is fun and over the top, right? We really want the Cypher product to be something exciting, not just realistic, right? So these are some of the reference we're finding. Maybe over here we look at this and we're like, hey, the construction feels realistic, but it's a little fantasy. There's something really nice that we saw here where we're like, okay, what makes a blade look modern? And basically, this kind of streamlined look where you have the metal and then you have like layered looks, right? And the kind of the way these things are fastened together as well kind of gives it its look. So as you can see here, we're like, okay, this is kind of like a traditional sword, but it still feels sci-fi. There's some cool things here. This is a little too over the top. So as you can see, we kind of grab a lot of stuff. We kind of go, okay, maybe this shapes it a little more over the top, could fit with hyper. And as you can see, this is, things that we go, okay, this could be a little more for outlaw, chosen, right? But then there's things here that this just doesn't fit the cyberpunk universe. So this is where we really have to kind of figure out what looks a little too fantasy and what doesn't really fit the style, right? And then this took us to the next stage where we start doing quick silhouettes. I'm gonna try to move pretty quickly here. This was the first blade we actually started modeling to kind of define the modeling style. We want it, as I said, to feel modern. So we create kind of this exoskeleton structure where it feels strong, but at the same time it's built with modern materials and feels light. As you can see here, we have a lot of space for artists to make creative decisions. So this is a quick silhouette, and then you can see here the artist, which was Reynaldo here, he added a lot of constructive detail, these little tubes, wires, cables, different things in the grip that really make it feel like a real world product, but at the same time, it's got that element of fun and excitement. That afterwards, we start working on the materials, and then we start actually integrating the stuff pretty early on in the process to make sure that the size is good and it feels right. Normally, I give some feedback at this stage. As you can see, I asked for things that really look bold, that look big, and we had a lot of little tiny scratches and things. I also asked for these kind of design elements here that make it feel like a real product, right? Like the push, open, close, maybe some decals telling us about being careful with electricity. Um, I don't want to ruin too much of the surprise here, but as you can see, beautiful, beautiful modeling, beautiful real world kind of construction on these blades, right? So as you can see, some got pushed pretty far. This was like the original design, and the artist here, this was Belen. She did a really fantastic job here. This blade was looking a little too fantasy, and then so we pushed it quite a bit to get this kind of integration, some more angles. I really like the construction over here on this blade. Fantastic work. And as you guys can see, this one is one of my favorites. It's got this was done by Federico. He's one of our lead character artists. He worked a lot on Injustice and Mortal Kombat, fantastic artist. This one really ended up feeling like a fun kind of toy, kind of something you would see in a Gundam product or something like that. So as you can see, this is kind of the process with the materialing. We want things to feel sporty. We want things to feel elegant, and you can see how things are coming along. And this is what it's looking like now in Engine, right? So I'm gonna, as you guys, I think several of you guys saw a lot of this, but the intention here is for those who, you can see what it looks like zoomed in. The construction on these to actually have this kind of detail and make them work real time. As you guys know, our commitment to you, our amazing community, is to deliver assets that you won't even see in the best games that come out this year or next year. That's our commitment to you guys. The best quality. You guys deserve the best. And so as you can see, I challenge you guys to find stuff that looks this cool in other games. Anyway, so you can see here, and I will kind of let this play out so you guys can see. This would be the Pioneer blade. As you can see, then it starts evolving, and we have the Hero blade, and then last but not least, we have the Icon blade. And the way you can notice this right out of the box is because of the emissive, which is basically kind of like the glow and this kind of special effects, right? There you go. Look at that. So it's very apparent right out of the gate what's more rare or least rare, right? When you're playing in the game and you get destroyed, somebody slices your face open, you're gonna know if they did it with a legendary blade or not. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of go through here, but you can see this stuff. It just looks fucking cool, right? So this is, Rad Kids. As you can see, we wanted to make it feel very sporty, something you would see maybe. Look at that, Hyper. This was really cool. I really like what they did here. I think they really captured the Hyper spirit, and it's just fun, right? Like you look at a lot of these things, and I feel like we're really capturing the element of fun. I'm going to zoom into this blade here so you guys can check this out. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Look at that construction detail. Where else are you going to find this kind of stuff, guys? Come on. We ain't playing around. Anyways, let's kind of move forward. As I was telling you guys, yeah, this blade is fucking this blade is a lot of fun, right? As you can see here, it says, instead of saying Yamaha right here, it says Yo Mama. All right. So this is that one. Yes, this is what's it called? The ultra rare. And then let's look at some animations over here. So yeah, you guys already saw a lot of this stuff animated. So we're finishing up some of the animations, and you guys will be able to have all these kind of fun animations in the visual wallet the next time you guys get to test it. We should have a new version of the visual wallet with a bunch more content for you guys to test out, hopefully pretty soon. I don't want to promise any dates, but before the end of August, hopefully we have something so you guys can test out, so you guys can see all the new blades, a bunch of new cool stuff. All right, enough goofing around, guys. Let's get back to business. What else have we been working on? Let me see. Aha. This is really cool. So as you guys know, we're also going to be working on a set of new helmets. And as you can see here, these are some of the old ones. We kind of did an art review on everything that we produced and really trying to hone in on the art direction that we want. So, we use different kind of words to really describe these. And we're starting to kind of determine some elements that we're going to want to see. So, for example, the Chosen, we want big, clean shapes. And then maybe in the area of the mouth, you have more detail and things like this. So, when we're looking at things that have worked, is this guy working? I don't know. This seems pretty terrible. But anyways, we just start throwing a bunch of reference here and what, maybe could really define the Chosen look. I'm really liking this kind of stuff, right? Some very clean, strong, bold, kind of imposing shapes. Getting a little crazy over here. You guys get the vibe, right? So we're looking for, maybe words that we're using that we didn't have before, maybe more geometric, monolithic shapes. With prototype, we're also kind of focusing on this idea that anywhere where the eyes are, we're always using these kind of curved visors, but then in the rest of the helmets, we're using more of these angular shapes. So hopefully that will help us really start defining the prototype look as well, that we feel there's still a lot of work to go in. With Outlaw, we're kind of, besides kind of like this Outworld or these kind of outlaws and punks and all this kind of stuff and renegades, we're looking for something like a lower level of technology, so it feels a little edgier. As you can see here, a little rougher around the edges. Um, you start seeing some of this reference, for example, from Blade Runner, from Cyberpunk too. So like more of these tubes and cables, more areas that are intervened, right? And so yeah, so this is kind of what we're doing, really kind of defining. As you can see here, we're starting to see some early ideas. We're kind of like, oh, what could we do with a mohawk that's not so obvious? It doesn't just look like an obvious mohawk, but we can kind of lean into that. So as you can see here, we start adding some references to kind of push these designs a little further. For example, this looked a little too organic for me. Um, so this is what we're working on, right? So like, for example, here in Chosen Helmet, we were like, hey, let's try to get like some of these stronger shapes in on these helmet. This is feeling like ears. So as you can see, this is part of the process. This is when you realize we don't really know what we're doing. We're just having a good time, right? And then you could see like things really, a lot of work goes into something till you finally start, kind of coming together. So there's something here that we liked in this duck helmet. We think there's things here that can work. Want to maybe exaggerate the beak, have more of this curvy kind of language. All right, these videos are going to get long if I really get into this stuff, but I also want you guys to really kind of understand what the process is like. I want you guys to kind of taste and feel the suffering and the effort and the grind behind everything that we do. Right, Jonathan? Jonathan also agrees. Yes. So we believe this kind of design language works really nicely for hyper. We want some of these realistic buttons and areas and knobs. So a little bit of the retro kind of Walkman look, I think can work nicely. So as you can see, we're a very early stage production for helmets. And this takes us to what we're up to next, which are guns. So again, here, as you can see, we're kind of determining what the visual style is going to be for the pistols, how we're gonna combine these pistols and how they're going to be customizable, and also just in general for weapons. How are we going to visually make something cool and that I can also impact the gameplay? So we've had a lot of really great conversations with our team, and basically, what we're coming to is that you're going to have these different elements. This is, for example, a shotgun. So, for example, with everything, we're going to have two versions of everything, right? And then this can impact gameplay. So, if you have a shot off barrel or a long barrel, well, then afterwards, when we actually, maybe at the beginning, there's only one type of shotgun as far as gameplay. But in the future, if we want to add a wider variety, you have Mark 1, Mark 2, whatever, we can easily impact the gameplay by knowing, okay, this is a long barrel, this is a short barrel, right? This is an iron sight, or this is a scope. There's, the butt of the gun, or it doesn't have butt, right? So we can quickly kind of identify what kind of a shotgun it is and how it impacts gameplay. So as you can see here are some of the designs that we're liking. We're gonna put this up for vote, so you guys can also vote on these. I think it would be really cool. And what we're also doing now that we have a little more time is actually doing production correctly, where we can actually block mesh all of this stuff and see how it combines together, see what kind of silhouettes we get, and then put it into the game and actually see how it looks. So today, Emiliano Andes, one of our amazing leads, also he quickly started blocking some of these guns out so we can see how they work in the game. All right, next. Are you guys having fun, or is this getting a little long? Because if these get long and they get boring, um, I can keep them a little bit shorter. I'm not going to really get into the female drop yet because, there's still a lot of stuff that we're figuring out here. We also really need to determine, as you guys know, where we get the biggest bang for our buck. As you guys know, a lot of our focus is going to start going into partnerships, bringing other communities into our ecosystem. But we do have a couple resources available. There's a couple artists available. So we're already starting to kind of block out what female cipher could potentially look like, what different factions. We're also kind of defining factions a little bit more, as you guys can see here. And these are some early sketches with different styles. All these are all sketches for Pioneer, right? We want to find like a good variety of styles, things that represent the factions differently, things that feel more tactical and military-like, things that feel a little bit crazier and fun. Um, things that feel more or just urban and like day to day, what it would feel like in the real world. Right. So these are very early stage, kind of pre-production sketches. What else? What else are we doing? We're making some good progress with the arena. As you guys know, we're going more for a sport kind of televised experience. We want it to feel fresh and fun, right? But still like this kind of crazy world. So as you can see here, this is a little update. Today I just got this. As you can see, the lighting is a lot nicer. We're putting these containers in so there's better cover. But again, we want everything to feel really modern, kind of futuristic, and at the same time really grounded and something that feels believable. So you always kind of know what sector of the map you're in. This is not the new map. We're just kind of improving the materials, improving the placement of the things. As soon as we're done here, tomorrow is art lock. Then we're going to do some art polish next week, and then we're off onto the new map, which I think everyone's going to be very excited about. But as you guys can see here, right, we have these big screens. This is where you're going to be able to see the players. So we want you guys as the players to feel like these heroic, larger than life kind of individuals. And yeah, I hope you guys kind of like this. A lot cleaner. You're going to be able to, I don't know, it's just supposed to feel amazing, right? Like, holy shit. There's Jonathan taking photos of me. All right. God, it's influencer lifestyles. Get a little out of hand. And this takes us to partnerships. Partnerships. All right. So this is kind of our first stab at our partnership with NeoTokyo. Obviously, we want to do something really cool. So this is kind of where we're starting with the iconic NeoTokyo female character. Really cool. So these are some of the first early kind of stage concepts that we're doing for Pioneer. As you can see, we want to really capture the essence of the character, but then also thinking about what the real world construction would look like if this character were in like a AAA next gen game blockbuster experience. When you see me doing weird hand gestures like this, I'm saying bye to people that are leaving the office. All right. So as you can see here, this is kind of what the Pioneer would start off looking like, hero, and then last but not least, super epic icon. Here are some other options. Maybe this goes a little bit more with like fantasy. It goes a little bit in that fantasy direction. So we're getting some feedback from NeoTokyo, which is really cool to get their community involved and sending feedback, which is going to be really fun. Here, I was kind of mentioning what we could possibly do. One thing I would really like to do is in the base body do something kind of asymmetric. And also, we need to determine kind of what these materials are going to be. If it's kind of something more sporty, or something a little more down the lines of leather, right? Or maybe a mix of both. I think it could be a really cool combination of two kind of different materials. Great. And that takes us to our next partnership with Journey Club. Journey Club. All right. So again, here what we're doing is we're trying to identify like some really great opportunities to grab their original kind of rocket ship, space exploration idea, bring it into that kind of cyberpunk universe, and then still really retain the essence of that identity. So these are, kind of what a Pioneer could look like. We want to keep kind of these urban, fun, realistic kind of shapes, but at the same time, we're going into something, a little more sci-fi. Maybe kind of like capture some of the retro vibe, maybe like a cool jacket over the clothing. And then last but not least, when we go into the icon, go into this kind of more space marine world, but we also wanted to capture the fun. And what we can see here from LMS, this is a great IP from Luvisi, Dan Luvisi. He did some really great stuff here, but kind of capture a little bit the fun and the personality that you get from maybe watching something like Deadpool, right? So you have, I don't know, instead of a beer, whatever, instead of a grenade, you have maybe a beer or a beer can or something fun like that, or maybe some toys, or maybe some fun some fun things. So we're going to be working very closely with our team to bring some cool kind of nods back to their project, and kind of they're also going to be rebranding, so there's going to be some really fun things there. But we're kind of looking at some cool things from Planet Solo, and we think that there could be like maybe like some fun stuff like we did with a little Teddy, and I don't know, just kind of bring that fun vibe into this. And then as you guys can see here, these are kind of like some original ideas for the pioneers. What we got from them is that they really wanted to kind of feel like an engineer, somebody who's kind of techie. So we're probably going to go with something around this maybe for the pioneer. And then obviously we need to keep on, kind of fleshing out that concept, as you guys can see. What else? What else is good? You guys by now are like, oh my God, these guys are doing so much. Are they even capable of doing more? This seems like too much work. Who does all of this? Well, I have a little bit more to show you guys. We are working on the logo for the Moshfit. As you guys can see, you guys already know how we work. You already know what's good. We get the reference for different, titles or things from our childhood, great IPs that we think could fit. Maybe like Akira here. As you can see here, this was a really like early logo that I just made very quickly. I'm not the world's best designer by any stretch, so we started getting things from different kind of esport games that have been successful, or kind of TV sports, and trying to find this kind of like, where do we fit in this kind of a visual universe, right? And so we're kind of picking out some things here from Akira, from Doom. So as you can see here, some like early ideas, and then here, as you can see, is a little bit more of the development, right? Trying out some helmets, but this was getting, a little bit too into like the medieval, not medieval, excuse me, guys. The Greeks and the Roman helmets, and I wasn't really feeling this. This is interesting, but it felt like it lacked a little bit of structure. This lacked a little bit of something a little more imposing. So we started kind of tapping in to this kind of, where is that? Well, I had put some reference here somewhere and I got lost. Here it is, kind of Akira, Doom, this kind of stuff. This is the kind of feedback you get from me. It's just a work of art. Like, I'm like, guys, time out. Let me do some art. And so this is the feedback that I send to the artists. As you can see, top quality, top notch feedback. You guys know what you guys can count on from me. So, and then we're like, okay, maybe the edges, we can go a little bit softer here. Because what happened, we're going full metal, guys. I mean, look at this shit. This is like some Wolfenstein shit. Look at that. This is all looking cool, but it didn't feel so sporty. It felt a little metal. It felt a little, too much of that Doom energy. So here I feel like we're already getting a little closer. Like, I'm already tasting victory at this point, right? So, obviously, sending the guys some great reference. If nobody's seen Kung Fury, you guys don't know what you're missing out on. But again, we kind of want to capture a little bit of these, kind of sci-fi elements. So as you can see, we're kind of working on the curves, on the edges. This is where we were, and kind of we're moving a little bit into the softer edges, something a little more like this. Guys, is this fresh or what? Right? So then kind of the idea here, if you guys can see, you have the Moshpit, and then you have the Moshpit tournament. The Moshpit tournament's where shit gets crazy, where it gets real. And then you have the Moshpit, which is just the maybe it's a free to play game, maybe it's the more the thing that's open for everybody. We want the tournament to feel like something special, something very specific. So this is kind of where we're at. I hope you guys are really feeling the love, the effort, the commitment to greatness. Here we have some other options, kind of playing around with the weights. So, we had all the weights like where the letters transition right in the middle. And what I mentioned, I was like, hey, let's kind of push them up so then it feels a little heavier, a little bigger, um, you know, larger than life. You know how we roll around here. Well, fam, hope everybody enjoyed this. If it got a little bit long and it got a little tedious, I'm really not sorry at all. Maybe you should go watch some TikTok. And for all of you who really enjoyed this long format deep dive into the creative genius that is this beautiful team, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Peace out.